Zillow, not again. Find some other state to mess with. We're going to talk about that today. Have you heard what's going on with Zillow here in Arizona? We'll get into it, but let's start with the economy. And welcome back, everyone, on this Tuesday. Thank you for joining me on Tuesday. If you've been following for a long time, it's always been Monday, but we are officially moving to Tuesday. So every Tuesday at 4, you can find me here for the market update. Today, let's talk about it. The Fed's preferred inflation measure, the PCE. Last week, we got a lot of information for the economy. So we got the PCE information. We also got some jobs info that I'm going to get into in a second. But let's start with the PCE. It came in higher than anticipated. However, when you look at what the numbers were for July of 2022, those were really low. So we were kind of bound to not be lower this year or this month. So that was somewhat expected. But basically, the PCE showed prices increased 0.2% on a monthly basis and 3.3% annually. Economists were expecting monthly increases of 0.2% for the headline and core indexes, and 3.3 and 4.2% respectively for the annual numbers. So it did come in a little bit higher than expected. However, it wasn't anything that really rocked our world. So good news there. Now, this article is saying Fed chair ready to hike interest rates and hold them there in order to lower inflation. However, we move on to this article that's talking about the jobs report. So what the August jobs report means for the Fed. We got some good news as it relates to, the Fed doing their job for jobs reports because unemployment rate went up slightly. We did add a little bit more jobs than anticipated, but basically unemployment rate rose 3.8% in August from 3.5% in July. The Fed wants to see that around 4%. So, it was kind of good news for the Fed to know that everything that they're doing is moving in the right direction. And so this article is saying latest job numbers could be the nail in the coffin for interest rate hikes, meaning that they will be ending. So the Fed's going to meet in September this month, in a few weeks, and we'll see what they decide to do. According to this article, this report clearly increases the pressure on the Fed not to hike this month, and it would now take horrific PPI and CPI data to trigger action. We remain of the view that the Fed is done raising rates and the next move will be an easing as soon as next March. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to turn around that quickly. And why do we care about this? Because the federal funds rate is not mortgage interest rates, but what happens with the federal funds rate affects markets and eventually trickles over to mortgage interest rates. Speaking of mortgages and mortgage rates, last week it seems like it wasn't super exciting. All my sources in the mortgage world said that rates didn't really make any big movements one way or the other. So that's kind of positive news. If you're in the market to purchase a house right now, it's a little volatile. So just make sure you're keeping in touch with your lender and kind of know what's going on there because rates can change very quickly. So let's talk about Zillow. Does anyone remember like a year, 2 years ago when Zillow basically went out of business in Arizona for their home buying side of their business? They started that, 2018, somewhere in there. They were buying homes kind of like Open Door and OfferPad. They were an iBuyer. Didn't work out so well for them, and they had to stop doing that. Meanwhile, they had a ton of homes that they owned that had to be sold, and it was a mess. And of course, they started kind of testing that in the Phoenix market. And so here we are again, testing another thing in the Phoenix market. Why? Why here? Zillow is offering mortgages with just 1% down. Should you take advantage? Well, that sure sounds like A dream come true, doesn't it? Now, I will say Zillow is not the only company to do this. There are, low down payment programs for loans out there. They're not, starting this as something that's never existed before, but they are, kind of marketing it as a unique program to them in some ways. And so they have of course, a mortgage section of their business too. And so Zillow just launched this program. They're currently available in just one state, Arizona. And they're designed for borrowers who are struggling to save for a down payment but can afford the monthly payments of a mortgage. How this works, so it's really intended for a first-time home buyer in a sense. To qualify, you must be first-time home buyer. And then you also must complete a home buyer education course, occupy the home as your primary residence. You need a FICO score of 620 and an income below 80% of the area's median income. So what happens is the Zillow will contribute 2% of the purchase price towards the down payment, because you really need 3% for a conventional loan on the for the lowest amount that you can put down. And they say borrowers can typically pay for other closing costs with gift funds. They can typically be rolled into the loan itself. So it's entirely possible that 1% of the purchase price is all it would take to buy a home with this program. Great. Fantastic. So I was listening to an interview from someone from Zillow talking about how the thought behind this is for people who can really afford to pay the rents in Phoenix, which could be $2,000 a month, but they're having trouble saving for a 20% down payment or something like that. And I just figured, like, what actually are those numbers? Because, if you are renting a home of a significant size, or, even, I don't know, just the median home size, I think it's more than $2,000 a month. And then your mortgage, especially if you're only putting 3% down, that's going to be more than $2,000 a month, especially with rates the way that they are. So let's take a look. Okay. Mortgage calculator. $435 is the median home price. Your down payment is $13,050 if you put 3% down. Interest rate, roughly 7.6%. That's what this calculator plugged in. We're just going to go with it. And then PMI. I just Googled what PMI would be like at this purchase price. So again, another rough estimate, but $540 a month is a lot of money each month, let alone per year. And so you have to pay this if you have less than 20% down, or less than 15. I don't remember which, but either way, 3% is not going to get you out of PMI. So your mortgage cost is about $38,000, almost $4,000 a month. At the median home price. And what you're getting for $435,000 in Phoenix is not any huge house or anything luxurious. It's not to say it can't be a nice house, but $435,000 is not getting you as much as it would have a few years ago. That's for sure. And you're spending $4,000 a month. So if you can spend $4,000 a month on living expenses, but you can't save up a down payment anything more than 1%, it's just my opinion. I just feel like that is maybe not the best choice to be trying to buy a home, because keep in mind, you also probably have HOA fees. You probably also have cost of the maintenance fees, right? Your AC goes out, your water heater, the roof leaks, whatever it is, you got to have some extra money. So you really have to have, $6,000 a month that you're ready to spend on all of this. And if you have $6,000 a month that you can just spend on living expenses, then you should probably be able to save for more than 1% down payment. Just my opinion. This program could work well for some people. I just think that it may not be the best thing to start advertising in mass only to one state from a company like Zillow, because we know they're going to market it so much to entice people to buy more. And I don't know. What do you guys think about it? 1% just feels like, that's financing 97% of the price of the home. So this article is asking a few questions here. How long will you be in your home? Is this 1% down right for you? If you borrow 97% of the purchase price, and prices in your area come down even a little, your home will likely be underwater. So that's how that would work. If you don't have that much skin in the game, you're not going to you're not going to have any equity. You're going to be underwater if prices go down. And so if you plan to be in the home for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, you're probably not going to have that issue, but you may live there while you're underwater. So you better be able to still pay your mortgage. Is your income increasing? You would kind of hope that, because if you're spending $4,000 to $6,000 a month on your living expenses, make sure you can continue to afford that. And can I afford to own a home? And then this talks a little bit about all the maintenance fees, HOA, all the things that you need to think about with home ownership. So let me know in the comments, what do you guys think about this? Zillow, I don't know. Just why Arizona? Just come on. Anyway, let's talk about the Cromford Market Index. If you're new here, I am a subscriber to the Cromford Report, and this is their market index. It shows supply and demand in our market. Anything over 110 is considered a seller's market. So 156 is a seller's market, albeit a weak one. But generally, Phoenix Metro is in a seller's market. Now, like 6 weeks ago or so, when I started these market updates after maternity leave, this was like 162. So it has softened a little bit. Demand is 76. So with 100 being that normal range, that means we're 24% below normal demand, and supply, we're about 51% below normal supply. I think this was 48 last week. So we've gone up in supply, just a tiny, teensy little bit. So all of this depends on what city you're in. So let's look at the various major cities here in Phoenix and what's going on with all of them. So Chandler is still leading the pack, and for an update, last week I shared a story about a listing that I had in Chandler, and we ended up with 5 offers. We are under contract above the list price, and so it was a very competitive process, I will say that. So do not be fooled. This number 285, it means that Chandler is certainly in a seller's market, and it's fairly strong. Now, month over month, Chandler saw some softening by 11%. So the way to read this, any arrow that is red, it means that it's a disadvantage for sellers. Month over month, they lost some ground. And then any green arrow means that sellers gained the advantage month over month. So we've got 4 cities that saw some strength over the last month: Buckeye, Tempe, Cave Creek, and Paradise Valley. Everything else saw some softening. But if everything between over 110 is a seller's market, that means all cities from Goodyear up to Chandler are seller's markets. The only ones that are not are Maricopa and Queen Creek, and both of those are considered balanced markets because between 90 to 110 on their index is considered balance. So no buyer's markets on this at all. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what's going on in your city. We did month over month see a little bit of softening. So when you take the average change of all of these cities, it went down by 2.7% the week before. This past week it went down by 2.9. The week before was 2.7. So, a little bit of softening, but it's nothing that has been, has really changed where we're at. So we'll keep an eye on this because as we get into the fall, usually things pick up just slightly as the heat goes away, hopefully sooner than later. And our market picks up a bit before we hit the holidays. So we'll see how that goes. But you guys, if this was helpful at all, hit that subscribe button and give me a like. I would love that. I would love for you to join our community. Check the description. I got some links in there if you want to check an instant home value, if you want to search our MLS for homes for sale, and just drop me a comment. What do you think about Zillow 1%? Is that anything you would ever do? Would you buy with just 1% down? And in this market, how does that make you feel? I want to hear from you. So thanks for joining me on this Tuesday. I'm Caitlin McKegg with the Desert Dreamers team.